pay 1 naira for anything. 1 naira, you not go pay. Your PVC, now your rights, and nobody must take am from you or tell you say you must buy am before you get am.
Mommy Tuji, he talk say na free. Why? And now you dey follow talk now. Should be talk say na 25. Oga, thank you. Make I go INEC office now.
Honestly, Nigerians, like this way don't be for 2027. Go and get your PVC. And remember, you no go pay 1 naira for your PVC. It is absolutely free. Again, waka go inecnigeria.org or make you go any of their secretariat for any local government. They go attend to you one time.
When the airwaves in your market.
Knowledge is power. Information is key. And that is why we aim to unlock the doors of opinion, unveiling the stories that need to be told. The Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. as we invoke the thought-provoking discussion, tackle the tough questions, challenge assumption, and give a voice to the unheard. This is the Morning Express on Mainland 98.3 FM.
Welcome on board the Morning Express.
Good morning.
Good morning and welcome to Mainland 98.3 FM, the sound of Lagos. It is the last day in the month of April 2026. It's been a very eventful April, if you ask me. Extremely eventful from the very first day. Maybe because of the trajectory of the polity at this time. It's mostly politically inclined. So it's only normal that we might see some sort of sometimes shocking, sometimes controversial information. But April has come to an end, and May 1st, 2026 will be upon us in another 24 hours. Well, information reaching us right now, of course, from the Ministry of Interior, is that Friday is a public holiday, and this is to celebrate workers. It's a celebration of all the hard work that people put into whatever sector they currently are operating in. Well, those of us in the media might not enjoy that luxury, but all in all, we understand that information is necessary, whether or not you, the listener, are at home or at work. So it will be very much available to carry out our duties. But still, a day has been designated to celebrate you, to identify all the work that you put into, again, the different sectors that you currently function in. I think all of us functioning in our different departments or our agencies or organization is actually how the economy keeps running. For the person who sweeps the streets, who keeps the streets clean, for the person who is desilting the gutters, for the person who's driving the bus that takes you to the office, for the person who provides the food that you eat at the office, and to the people who are pushing papers. It's upper echelon. I think all of us working together in different sectors is how we're able to keep the economy afloat in our own little way. So congratulations to workers. I might not be here tomorrow morning, is why I'm taking the opportunity to say happy Workers' Day in advance. And we see you, we recognize you, we appreciate you, whatever sector you're operating in, however small you think your responsibility is in the grand scheme of things. I promise you, you are as significant as the person who's signing papers and pushing papers and attending high-level meetings. So as long as you're a worker, you're doing decent work, you're celebrated. My name is Sage Babalola. Welcome to the Morning Express. As trends in the papers, we're about to look through our dailies, tell you what has been written on the front covers. Punch, Guardian, Vanguard would be our reference point as always. And for trends in the papers, all we're basically doing is reviewing these stories. Now, there comes a time on the Morning Express where we open the phone lines. As a matter of fact, our streaming platform, amongst other things, will be open so that you're also able to participate in the discourse. I mean, what's the essence of conversing if we cannot talk to those who are in one way or the other directly affected by these reports? Fuad Said will be here, or he is here, and he'll be talking to us about some of the complexities of these stories, or widening the discourse a little bit by means of analysis. We are currently streaming, so please go on and join us on our Facebook and our YouTube platform. Talk to us. This is Open Mic Thursday, so as we go through each story, we would like your commentary on each story. But then let's get into the discuss of the morning. Fuad Said, good morning. Happy last day of the month.
Happy last day of the month.
Yes, now. Yeah, Fuad, because of all the things happening, honestly, being able to see the start and the end of the month is a gift that I think we should deeply appreciate even more.
I agree. I agree with you. So I say happy last day of the month to you too. Very quiet morning. All dust has settled. At least finally in Lagos, as far as the APC is concerned, we now know where we're going.
Yeah.
Even though, some of the, governorship hopefuls within the party are still complaining. I think the man from Badagry, I just said, is complaining and saying that, as far as he's concerned, there's still no consensus. Because again, I've talked about this misinterpretation of what consensus and endorsement mean. Endorsement does not necessarily mean there's a consensus.
Yeah. And
I've seen that our politicians are deliberately misusing those two words. It's a deliberate, it's not if they don't know, don't think they don't know. So if the entire party members say endorse a candidate, it still does not mean there's a consensus. Because the issue of consensus is actually amongst who? Among the aspirants.
Yes.
So the aspirants, because what I think Mr. Joseph is saying is that if the idea was to have just one candidate in Lagos, why then did you decide to sell form to others?
Exactly. Why did you sell the form for us if you knew who you were?
So the idea of a consensus is that, look, all the aspirants who picked up the form eventually locked themselves up in a room and agreed to step down for just one person.
Right.
So the idea of consensus is more valid on the grounds that all aspirants have decided to work for one person and all jettisoning their ambition. It's not for party leaders or members to say, there's a consensus. So Mr. Joseph, rightfully so, is saying there's still no consensus. Jando has also picked the form.
Yes.
Stage of the APC. So he might eventually get to the point where there will be a primary election to finally seal whatever endorsement that Dr. Bafemi Hamzat have gotten from the party leader. So it's looking good for him as it stands, looking very good for him. If you have the GST behind you, Mr. President received himself and the GST leaders and Mr. Governor yesterday. So it's not looking very good, but again, he might still have to get to the point where he would not have to reach out to these other aspirants, and they might eventually agree to have him as their consensus candidate.
Well, again, just like you said, Fatai, that one person openly supports someone or that the party leader openly supports someone is not what a consensus is. It's those who are in the race saying, well, I'm willing to jettison my ambition because I believe so strongly that you're able to do the job. So I would step aside from the race. That's what the consensus is. All the, I'll say, aspirants or competitors willing to forego their ambition for one person. Endorsement is basically just, I support you and I'll be behind you on this journey that you're about to undertake. So these are two.
And the Electoral Act does not even know that one.
So it's between you again. that's between you. I think the Electoral Act really comes into full action when an individual has become the candidate of the party. That's when the Electoral Act starts to manifest. But inter-party activity, settle it and let us know when to step in. That's the arrangement of the Electoral Act, really. So, well, let's see. Bafemi Hamzat, the governor, had done it, and many people had said that the governor holding his hand up, that, I mean, don't you think that was a little bit too fast? Why didn't you wait for the president to do it first? But then other commentators, for him to do it, he knew exactly. There
must have been a signal from the Aso Villa. There are always these back end conversations. Half of the things they come out to say, they sorted it out when nobody is saying them. Politicians practically don't sleep, if you understand what I'm saying.
Right.
I was opportune a very long time ago, to be in the premises of one House of Reps member, a very popular one in Lagos, one of the longest serving House of Reps members. So we had a thing to do in Abuja, so he invited that we just say hello to him. And it was very late in the night. And this was a man who was on his phone, he was on his dining set, writing, putting things together, like,
Also, what's your excuse for outside? Because you don't sleep either.
Sorry?
I said, what's your excuse then? Because you don't sleep either.
I have just said that politicians, why would they not sleep? But they have their own business to do too, so
right.
Everybody with his own wahala, So exactly. they really don't sleep. They have these meetings, And a lot of their meetings, they like to have it at night. That's also the strange thing about the way they do their thing. They will not do it daytime. I like.
Well,
so
let's
I'm
see.
just saying that's the way they like to roll, really. So I think it's that's what it is.
Well, again, we're still at the start. Campaigning hasn't officially began, but since we're still talking about the political landscape and what's going on with politics and political parties endorsement amongst other things, I think we can use that to lead the conversation of the ADC and the PDP waiting Supreme Court verdict today. So the Supreme Court is going to deliver a judgment today on the leadership dispute in the ADC and the PDP. Again, we know that this the decision of the court is what would redefine both opposition parties ahead of the 2027 general election. I think we have less than 10 days before they need to submit the list of party register, meet certain deadlines, among other things. Well, the ADC leaders are currently in an emergency strategic meeting. This is according to a political commentator, Imran Wakili. I'm reading what his position on the matter is. ADC are currently in an emergency strategic meeting ahead of tomorrow's Supreme Court ruling on the party's leadership tussle. The closed-door meeting is expected to review possible outcome of the judgment and chart the next line of action for the opposition coalition, which has adopted the ADC as its major political platform ahead of 2027. Notably absent from the ongoing high-level consultation are Mr. Peter Obi and Senator Rabiu Kwankwaso. He tweeted. So at the moment, they convened and they're thinking, what could possibly be the outcome of the court? If this is what the outcome is, this will be our strategy. If that is what the outcome will be, that they're working out strategies, they're doing permutations, whatever the outcome is, let's be prepared on the next line of action almost immediately. Fuad.
Well, okay, that's what you get politicians do. And if you have, a political gathering or a meeting of people like Senator, David Mark, former Senate President, you have Aregbesola, Rotimi Amechi, even as it stands, you have people like Makinde also on the sidelines, all working together to see what would be or what would not be, depending on what the Supreme Court says. The Supreme Court is delivering judgment today. So all eyes on the Supreme Court today on what the outcome would be. But just yesterday again, there was another problem. The Federal High Court has also ruled that whatever state congresses that have been conducted by the agency under the leadership of David Mark is null and void, and that they had no such powers to have done that. So yesterday, people like Dr. Kachukwu and his people were celebrating that court judgment. But I've noticed that there's been one singular argument from the David Mark legal team for every of the cases that have been taken to court on the leadership of David Mark, Aregbesola and co. They keep talking about jurisdiction. The courts have no jurisdiction to hear the matter because it's an inter-party affair, a leadership issue within the political party. So on this same situation, you have them pushing that position. But we've had a situation now where the Federal High Court has delivered judgment almost twice or thrice on this same matter. The appeal court has also delivered judgment. So it is still the same position that the legal team of David Mark is pushing forward at the Supreme Court. And so we just have to wait what the Supreme Court will say on whether these other lower courts have any jurisdiction at all to have entertained the matters in the first place. And whether that Supreme Court judgment will rub off on the Federal High Court judgment of yesterday, or it will also linger to the point where they have to sort it out at the Supreme Court. So a lot of legal, how do I put it? It's a lot of complete confusion. Too many legal tussle there and there. And let me tell you, the reality is that these things are not coincidental. These things are not accidental. This is dirty politics at the highest level. Hey, people can make excuses and say they can put their house in order. Look, if it walks like a goat, speaks like a goat, smells like a goat, sounds like a goat, it's a goat. These things are not accidental. These things are as a result of the kind of wobbled, dirty, crooked politics that we like to play in Nigeria. And I say it, and I'll repeat it again. If we continue like this democracy will fail. The start part of the whole conversation is that we've drawn the judiciary into the problem. They are also a part of how we are messing everything up. The politicians will not behave themselves. The politicians are so openly available for manipulation, crooked, dirty, useless politics, and somehow we've been able to entangle the judiciary into the nonsense.
Severing the link between the judiciary and the political class would be a very tough nut to crack at this time. It would take a long time. It would take determination, and it would take individuals who are almost infallible, right, to the proposition of those who are.
And where are those individuals?
So it's going to take a long time. Anyway,
unfortunately, very unfortunate.
Yes, well, moving forward, thank you to everyone on the live stream. We appreciate you for your time. And yes, it is Open Mic Thursday, so you are allowed to comment on these stories as we talk about them in real time. Just write what you would like to comment on the live chat option that's provided on the streaming platform. When it's time to take feedback, I'll just double back and read your contribution. So yes, you can do that. You just cannot call. That's the only difference. We're still looking at the Punch Fund. I'd like to give us an update on the very sad, unfortunate, and senseless situation that we had to spend the whole of yesterday nibbling on. I think the entire Nigeria was talking about that subject matter. As it stands, the police have arrested the ASP Nuhu that was involved in the broad daylight murder, if we like, of this young man, Emeni. Now, the youths in Delta, they were protesting. Yeah, we saw videos of, tear gas being fired. Of course, there's a possibility of people taking advantage of something like that and causing chaos, amongst other things. They were repelled minimally. There's no record of anybody badly injured from the repelling of the protest, but they did protest. There's also this, I wouldn't call him a social media influencer. Let me just call him something of an activist or a philanthropist who had located the mother of this young boy. And for the unfortunate thing is that her first son was also killed by police. In similar circumstances, her first son was killed by police, and now her second son was shot in the head and brought to life by police. And so she has lost two children in the same manner, and she's trying to understand why exactly this is happening to her. Yes, they're trying to help her, but what can you give a woman who has witnessed two of her grown-up son being killed? How much trust can a woman like that ever have in the system ever again? What kind of justice will be enough to make up for the hurt that she's currently feeling at this time? For outside, also the IGP has asked for the dismissal of this ASP, so we're hoping that prosecution follows swiftly after. But my heart really bled for the mother, because I saw the video and I could not even see to the end.
You see, no matter what they do to the ASP, what has happened. This woman, very poor Nigerian, now suffers from, systemic failure. The same systemic failure that we have been complaining about it. Now she's lost two of her children, two sons, to police brutality, senseless police brutality. And we can sit back and make excuses, and I just think that these things don't really matter until somebody very close to us becomes a victim, or somebody dear to us becomes a victim. I don't know how the woman is going to get out of it. I really don't know what will help her and how they can help her, and if there's anything really. But the first step to helping her out of this situation is for her to know that justice will be served, and indeed that justice is served on this matter. That ASA has to be criminally prosecuted for murder. It was not an accidental discharge. The first one looked at the first gunshot. I had to go and review and speak to watch the video again. Right. In fact, the first shot, if that was the shot that killed the guy, maybe the argument would have been that it was an accidental discharge. Yes. But you saw that when the first shot was fired, and the guy was not hit, maybe it got him on the arm or something, he had to reload the gun. Yes. So we knew he wanted to just kill the guy. You see, if you listen to the Delta State Police PRO, you would have seen that even the Delta State Police PRO was so lost that at the end he had to conclude that this was a spiritual issue. Honestly. And I when someone said the guy was saying no, I didn't look, I would have also concluded that this must be something spiritual, because there was no reason anywhere in the world for the police officer to have decided to kill the guy, unless, like a lot of people are now saying, there was an intention to make some cover something, to hide something. Because there was no reason. This guy was restrained. He had told you that, look, he had gone to pick up a parcel. You never knew what was in the parcel. And I know where I got the parcel from. I'm going to take you there. Look, the first instinct of any police officer would be to say, oh yeah, let's go there.
Exactly. The sense of inquiry, it was just lost.
Because if the person is telling you, I knew where I picked it from. This is even the name of the person that gave it to me. I'm going to take you there. Look, this is a suspect telling you I'm willing to help with the investigation. And then the policeman fires and kills the guy. You see, I don't know whether there's somebody listening who is close to IGP media. Sorry. He has a lot of work to do, but he might not be able to do everything because, again, for how long is he going to remain IGP? Number one is to quickly do a mental evaluation of all police officers in Nigeria, from top to bottom. Especially the ones that carry weapons up, and I would assume that all police officers actually carry weapons anyway. There's a need for immediate mental evaluation. Look, it might look a bit funny, but I think it's just important, because how many Ogbegbe, they call the guy Ogbegbe, I think that's his unique name.
Yeah, that's his name.
Do you know how many Ogbegbe we have in the police force now? Because if this can be done in broad daylight, in the open glare of the whole world, where you also knew that people were recording, were videotaping you, and you still did that as a police officer. Look at the way he was even dressed. See.
So
look at his appearance.
Yesterday, after Bright Edafe made a statement on TV, he was asked why they were dressed like that. He said they are part of a surveillance team, and they are not mandated. They are a surveillance team. They're not often mandated to be in their full regalia. That's why they were dressed in mufti.
No. Look, again, we talk about global best practices, global best standards. See, we see policemen all over the world. And don't we see them in covert operations the way they are dressed? These people look like, sometimes you see a policeman, they're looking like an armed robber. You are even afraid. It's only in Nigeria you see policemen wearing slippers, wearing normal, they just appearing like common criminals, like touts. You can't even identify a policeman from a criminal on the road. When we talk about the need to rebrand the entire Nigerian police force, it's not just about even changing the name. It's about looking at the entire structure, the appearance, the way they carry themselves, the kind of vehicles they use, their offices. Yesterday I was talking about even the name. Say,
they are trying to domesticate it.
Why can't we domesticate but use the worst of it all to name our police stations? Okay, how did we get to Panty?
I have no idea.
You know what Panty is?
Dirt, yeah.
How? So we can't have beautiful names for our police stations, and then look. You see, look, if there's one thing we'll beg this IGP, this is the time for us to reform the entire Nigerian police force. Look, the problem is that if we don't reform the one that exists, you know, when we eventually have state police, it will even be more problematic. Because that will be a lead to what they will also be, and how they will also carry out their operations. We need a complete reform, a total overhaul. That in the Nigerian police force in the year of the law 2026, we still have a situation where in public, broad daylight, a suspect completely restrained, without a weapon, no imminent threat, will be murdered like that. See, look, I know that of course they will dismiss him, they will prosecute him, but how many Ogbegbe, people like that Ogbegbe policeman, do we still have in the Nigerian police force?
It's unfortunate indeed. Again, as you said, I think the only thing that can maybe even bring a minuscule form of respite for that woman, a tiny drop of respite, is to know that the killer of her son is duly prosecuted. I cannot imagine what she's going through right now, losing two children in the same way. Even if they were to be criminals, that's why the law provides on how to deal with certain issues. If a person is not an immediate threat to you or anyone around them or to themselves, it's no reason to use lethal force.
Okay, if it's about those boys being criminals, should we apply the same law to him now? Say it.
That's
the police officer that should we just kill him now because he has killed someone? Why are we talking about diligent prosecution?
Exactly. There's a provision of the law for any situation, because we saw you shoot him, but still the law does not allow for anybody to just carry a gun and shoot him too because he shot someone. There's
not even at a point where a suspect is already restrained. He had no guns, there was no imminent threat. He was even telling you that, look, I'm going to help your investigation, I'm ready to cooperate, I'm ready to give you information. And then the only thing that came to you, that's what I'm talking about mental evaluation.
For what he begged for his life. He begged.
And then maybe also do some spiritual cleansing. Let's call all the three. The traditional people, the Muslims, let's go so that they sanctify all our police stations.
I don't know.
And all those our officers, maybe we need some serious prayer. Because when the PRO of Delta State Police Force said this was a spiritual thing, the thing it got my attention too. Honestly, that maybe we need to go spiritual.
It's so it doesn't make any sense. Like, how do you watch a person beg for their life, and then you still open fire? I don't think there's no logic to it. You have to be under a spell or something.
And if they do that in broad daylight, what then happens at night? See.
For outside, we'll look at other stories. We'll be following this very closely. We're still looking at the Punch newspaper. Let's talk state of the economy. Petrol nears 1,400 naira per litre as Dangote hikes price. We have the pump price of premium auto spirit is nearing 1,400 per litre in many parts of the country as the United States and Iran fail to agree on a ceasefire that will lead to the reopening of the Strait of Hormuz. As the crisis in the Middle East lingers, coupled with the exit of the United Arab Emirates from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries on Tuesday, the price of petrol has continued to rise. It was $105 per barrel on Monday, but Brent crude has now jumped to $118 per barrel on Wednesday. And because of that, as expected, the Dangote refinery has had to jerk up the petrol gantry price. It was 1,200, but now it's 1,275 naira. And you can expect that it's going to cascade to the pump price, which is now nearing 1,400 naira.
You now understand what Dangote was saying the last time he met with the president.
I just pray that this war comes to an end soon. If not, it's casa people.
Do you now see that we're in trouble? You don't know.
I'm aware of what.
Well, now the boards at many of the filling stations in Lagos are already reading 1,300 naira per litre sage. But in some other filling stations, you have 1,350. Outside Lagos, the report is that look, the boards are reading already 1,400.
Yeah.
In some parts of Augusta, especially the border areas where there's this embargo on fuel delivery to those parts, so they do mostly using small means and all of that to get fuel into those areas. The residents are saying they are buying as high as 1,800 naira per litre. I am very sure that in the far north, in the most obscure parts of Nigeria, they probably will be buying at 2,000 naira per litre already. So what would be the effect of that? Already, the average Nigerian, the poor Nigerian out there, the most vulnerable, is already gasping for bread. People are practically just managing to survive. This is going to complicate everything. So when I said, look, we should pay attention to what Dangote is saying. There's been a lot of talk about the government's need to intervene, bring in some form of measure that can help Nigerians, reduce the, a filling station here is selling at 1,325 naira per litre. So what it means is that, look, we are in for more tough times. There's nothing coming from the government as to how they want to help. The last one they put out does not even make any sense. I'm sorry. The 100,000 CNG. I say it does not make any sense in light of the reality of what Nigerians are going through. So, Dangote also told us that, look, if the war between the US and Iran does not stop, we might revert to the old COVID era where people have to work from home. But that will be for people in the formal sector. What about the people in the informal sector that live on them going out every day to look for their daily bread?
The market woman and the one that owns the shop.
So the question is, what is the government going to do about this? What are they willing to do? What should they be doing? We've done a lot of analysis about what other governments of the world are doing. We brought it to the table, country by country, both oil producing and non-oil producing countries, what they are doing at this time to mitigate, to help reduce the suffering of this senseless war going on between the US and Iran. As an oil producing nation, what are we doing? What should we be doing? What is supposed to be the right thing that the government is supposed to introduce now to help? Or are we just like that? We are just on our own. Or your hour. That at one time, look, I'm telling you, if you go step out of Lagos now, to some of these local areas, you'll be seeing these things at 1.5, 1.4, 1.6. I can tell you that in the most obscure parts of the country, they will already start to buy at 2,000 naira per litre. What about the cost of logistics, transportation, and everything? And the government is quiet.
Well, Fuad side again, you already drew our attention to the fact that if the oil mogul himself, Dangote, can tell us the only hope that you have, or the only hope we have,
is for the world to end.
Is for the world to end. I'm sorry if you're expecting some grand policy that's going to ease the pain. Sorry for you. The war ending is the only hope we have to minimize the price, or to at least reduce the price of PMS at this time, or even the other derivative of oil, because we know what's going on in the the aviation sector. I mean, they're planning, or they're threatening to down tools, because we cannot be paying 3,300 naira per litre for Jet A1 and then expect us to manage the cost of flying. So it's a lot of problems across different sectors.
And so what is the percentage of people who fly around compared to the people who, the other people who use public transport, drive their own cars?
They're very small percentage of people.
So do you think people like us are even worried about whether they fly or they don't fly?
Who is the us? For what side? Why are you putting yourself in our...
I mean, very poor man. I mean, if they like they fly. I'm talking about ordinary Nigerians.
That's true.
Who live on, public transport of 500, 1,000 daily to move around to look for what they eat, what they will eat, what their families will eat.
Transporters, for our side, even the transporters, right? Because they use the bulk of that. Most of them have to wait to take passengers the first time. So it's what you pay them for the first two trips
that they used to fill up their vehicle
before they
can't even fill anything up again.
Exactly. They just buy 5,000. You'd see someone buying fuel 1,005, and I'm like, where would this one take you? Then they stop again. They take another passenger, they take your money, they buy again. They're just buying on the go.
You know the same thing the airline operators are saying, that look, 90% of what they take now as fares go into fueling their aircraft. That aircraft that they used to fill up with about 2.something million naira, now they have to do upwards of 8 million naira to fill up just a single aircraft for a single trip.
Well, for what's
and stage, for people who keep saying, I told you that I listened to the marketing manager of an airline, one of the African airlines, and what she said was that, look, as an oil producing nation, one of the Central African countries, that what the government has done is to make an arrangement to have fixed price.
Yes.
So that whether it goes up or not, that subsidy regime keeps it fixed at a particular level to help mitigate the effect. What are we doing here?
100,000 CNG conversion kits will be provided.
All right.
Please. It's still trends in the papers on Mainland 98.3 FM. We're still live on Facebook and on YouTube at Mainland 98.3 FM. Our handle is our frequency, or our frequency is our handle, whichever way. My name is Sage Babalola. Fuad Side is providing us with analysis. We're looking through the papers. A statement has been credited to the president, Fuad Side. I'll actually play that. Borrowing is not leprosy, he says. He defended the administration's borrowing policy, saying taking loans is not a problem as long as the government remains committed to the repayment and economic growth. He was speaking on Wednesday in a video. He said borrowing should not be seen as leprosy. Many countries rely on debt to finance developmental projects and critical infrastructure. He also addressed the growing criticism over insecurity in parts of the country, alleging that his political enemies were determined to exploit the insecurity for selfish political gains. But he will not be intimidated or pressured into stepping aside. He says, and I would like to read very briefly verbatim because I don't have the soundbite for that one. He says, my enemies want to use insecurity in the country to get rid of me, but I'm a stubborn politician who refuses to go. He says, let me just play you that 15-second clip of where he was talking about the borrowing, and we will get your analysis for outside.
If we have to borrow money, we borrow. It's not borrowing is not a leprosy. We just have to work hard to be able to pay for it.
Fuad, as long as we're able to work hard enough to offset the loans that we're taking, we should not see borrowing as some sort of adversary. Even what's your analysis of the statement made by the president?
Sage.
Yes.
Is it that the president doesn't understand what we are saying, or he's pretending not to understand?
I have no idea what the situation is.
Have we ever on this platform, or probably what you've listened to from a lot of Nigerians, have you ever had anybody saying borrowing is bad?
Even Muda Yusuf said it. It's okay to take loans, but just use it for capital. Don't take money for recurrent expenditure.
Now, Sage. So that's why I'm saying that. Is it that the president is deliberately pretending not to understand what Nigerians are saying? Sage, borrowing is worse than leprosy, where there is no transparency and accountability. You don't understand what I'm saying? Borrowing can be worse than leprosy. In fact, it can be worse than cancer. When you begin to see that you are borrowing without transparency and accountability. So you think the president does not understand that? Look, if Nigerians are saying, oh, Mr. President, it is well documented. One of the things you said, as at the point when you were removing subsidy, is that, look, if we remove subsidy to free up resources, make monies available for us to now be able to begin to fix our infrastructural deficit and stop this excessive borrowing. If there are records that this same president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, in the past are condemned reckless, what he calls reckless borrowing from past government, how did you suddenly now get to the point where we need to borrow, borrowing is not leprosy? Is that what we are saying? And that's why we are saying that everything is similar. It's not even about leprosy. Borrowing can be worse than leprosy, can even be worse than cancer, if we begin to see a pattern that shows that there is no transparency and accountability. Sage, up till today, I just saw what Mr. Bayo posted from, I think, the DG of the budget office. That one just spoke a lot of English without saying anything, trying to address this issue of borrowing. He went on and on and on. I had to spend about 1 hour reading what the man was writing, and there was nothing, completely nothing. He said a whole lot of things without saying anything, just full of grammar. Even when the Nigerian the Senate asked the immediate past finance minister, where to give us an account of the monies you have been able to put together as a result of subsidy removal, what did he say? The monies we are borrowing, we have a pattern now that people are questioning. Why is it that, look, we are borrowing for key infrastructure without competitive bidding, without a transparent procurement process, to the point where these projects are going to just one company, Sage, just one. Who is checking who? Suddenly we have I don't want to say a useless National Assembly, a rubber stamp National Assembly. No checks and balances, no nothing. It just come and it goes. So it is not about whether we should borrow or not borrow. And nobody is saying borrowing is bad. But borrowing becomes a cancer. Borrowing becomes a pandemic. Borrowing becomes worse than leprosy. I repeat again. When we begin to see a pattern that shows that there is no transparency and accountability. That's what we are saying. And for the president to also say, oh, it is enemies that are using insecurity to want to remove him. Say, that means the president has also accepted what his people are saying, that, oh, he's just the enemies of the country. That means he has also accepted what Akpabio said. Oh, that after the election in 2027, 2 months, insecurity will stop. So the president has also accepted that one idea, that this is about the enemies of the country, or the enemies of him as the president. So what is he going to do about it? So we should wait when he wins the election. Abi, say it. I don't know if people are seeing what I'm saying. Because the president is now also saying that, oh, it is enemies that are trying to use insecurity to remove him. And look at what he also said, that I'm a stubborn politician. So whether there is insecurity or not, I will play my politics and still win. Is it just about politics? What about even the issue of insecurity? And if it is true that it is enemies that are using insecurity, what does he want to do about it? What is he doing about it? Is everything just about winning the election?
Well, for what side, since we're actually on the issue of insecurity, as the Guardian is reporting that Atiku and the president are trading blame as the United States moves to tighten oversight on Nigeria. The riders, they want to get rid of me. I'm stubborn. Atiku pushes back on federal government tag on opposition, says attempt to blackmail opposition will not rescue failed government. Riley Moore pushes bill to demand tough action over killings. Rep Riley Moore actually put out a series of tweets where he says he has worked on a bill, and it contains some line items like responding to violence, prioritizing resources for those who are in the IDP camps, and also returning displaced persons to their ancestral homeland. In fact, the secretary, Rubio, would be assessing Abuja's compliance with these standards: atrocity prevention, religious freedom, prosecution of Fulani ethnic militia group, accountability for the police and the security forces. We'll make sure we post this on social media because it's a very lengthy bill. But now the US is saying they will monitor very, very tightly whatever operational systems that we institute against what, again, the US believes is a Christian genocide that is happening in Nigeria. Opposition, Atiku Abubakar, for example, is saying, why are you attributing insecurity to opposition? Security is your responsibility. Take responsibility. And now we have the US who's saying we will be looking at you with the eagle's eye.
So do we have to wait for the US, to keep an eye on us before we do the right thing? When the APC was going to take over Jonathan in 2015, did they give him excuses that, it was the opposition that was doing it, and so Nigerians should still vote for him? It was just a political thing. But yeah, you do ever hear that, it was just politics, and so because of that, don't vote out Jonathan. They used all the blame on him, that he must take responsibility. In fact, this same president also said that, look, if Jonathan cannot handle the issue of insecurity, he should resign because he's incompetent. Today, it is that the political enemies are the ones doing it, and so I am a stubborn politician, I will win. With or without safety for Nigerians, I will shall win. Is that what we are? That's why I say, anyways, you know what's it?
Yes.
Anyway, that's my conclusion.
And it takes me back to that person that called and was doing a back and forth about how, with regards to the security state of the economy, that the United States had constantly praised us for the amazing job that we're doing. And I was talking about Riley Moore, for example, has very many times condemned laxity.
Do these people read the papers every day?
I mean,
and see the numbers, the daily killings of Nigerians in different parts of the country, the abductions. Are these people who are saying this things understand that, look, there are thousands of Nigerians now who are still held in different kidnappers den with demands for ransom, some of them being beaten, being harassed, and that we will say that this is just about politics. Where then is the power of the government to deal with those politicians who are causing this trouble? If the government now says, it is politics, there's nothing I can do, but I will still win, what it means is that the government is also admitting incompetence. See, why are you the president? Why do you have the army? Why do you have the police? Why do you have the DSS? Why do you have the NIA? The power is in your hand to fish out those politicians who are causing the problem and deal with them. If you cannot do that means you are saying you are incompetent.
Well, forward side, we'll talk a little bit of politics and end the conversation there. Zoning splits coalition, obedience demands Southern candidate. Loyalists of former Anambra State Governor Peter Obi and ex-Kano State Governor Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso have called on the opposition to adopt a Southern presidential candidate, intensifying conversations about coalition building ahead of the 2027 general election. We have the push for the Southern consensus candidate follows the high-profile political gathering in Ibadan, where opposition figures across multiple platforms reportedly explore the possibility of forming a united front to challenge the ruling All Progressive Congress in 2027. Fad, we know that Atiku Abubakar is very resolute in his pursuit to run for presidency, but we have individuals within this grand coalition that they intend to form that's saying that you should zone the presidency to the south. What sort of new intrigue do you think this position throws into the proposition for a grand opposition come 2027?
So I think we'll always have this kind of conversation. The opposition will have to find a way to sort that out. Because again, it now appears that the obedience are so resolute.
Yeah.
In fact, there are already people saying that, look, these obedience are also becoming very toxic. That it's almost as if they are even almost intimidating Atiku, harassing, this idea of even saying it has to be Obi or nothing, for me, I don't think works in a political space. That's why you see that negotiations, meetings, concessions, those are the things you do. But today it's Obi or nothing. I just laugh when I hear those kind of statements. Why would you say it's Obi or nothing? In a political party, you're the only one there. You have to find a way to negotiate. They have to find a way to reach a consensus. You can't be in a political party and then your supporters are saying it's Obi or nothing. When the person cannot even win it all by himself, you still have to work with others. Can Obi single-handedly win the election? If it is easy, why is he joining the coalition? And then you are in the coalition now because you know you cannot win the election all by yourself. And then your supporters are saying it has to be you or no, nothing. How does that even work? Does that even make sense in a political sense? So I'm sure that Obi himself understands that, look, what the supporters are saying is political naivety. They don't understand what politics is all about. He himself is negotiating. He's meeting. Look at the level of meetings he's having. So he's talking with Makinde, he's met with Ḥwanḥwańso, he has met with Atiku. He's meeting with everybody. Because he knows that, look, they would have to reach a consensus. They would have to agree among themselves. It is not about talking tough for them. It is Obi or nothing. If they give him the ticket without the support of others, can he win by himself? With a president that understands his politics? I think the obedience have to, and that is the narrative they are pushing out there now. That, they are just trying to intimidate other aspirants. And that will not work in the favor of Obi. So his supporters have to also be very careful so that they also don't become a burden to the man they are supporting.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that side. We'll just say, and a big congratulations to Bianca Ojukwu, who is now foreign minister. We do know that Yusuf Togha had to resign. He's pursuing the Bauchi state governorship.
That's what exactly because he's a woman now.
No, I'm just actually the thought didn't even cross my mind. I'm just happy that she's there. Congratulations to her. And we wish we wish Yusuf Togha all the best in his pursuit of governorship and his aspiration. All the best.
I think it's in Bauchi. I think he's slugging it out in Bauchi.
God will help him. God will help him. Congratulations to Bianca Ojukwu. Thank you for your time. We appreciate your analysis. But we're going to take a break now so we can come back for Mainland Focus. It's Open Mic Thursday, so ready your analysis. When we open the phone lines, we'll be hoping to hear from you. Don't go anywhere.